Well, hey everybody, welcome to part 2 of our video. I actually got out here this morning, or excuse me, yesterday morning, and got our foils going to come off of our fingerboards. So we're just going to continue to leave that sit out here. In fact, I don't see any rain clouds, so I think I'm actually going to just open that up for a while and let the sun shine in on it. Got to get this junk table cleaned off, get rid of this extra scrap metal. But anyway, it is working, and we are getting some bubbles in there, so we know things are happening. And actually, some fingers are already starting to come off, so that's good. That's fast. Okay, guys, what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and get our chips ready to pyrolyze. We're going to get them in a can, and I'm actually going to go out to camp out there. And I'm going to build me a fire over at the camp and put these in it. I'm not going to video that because I am not going to sit by a fire right now when it's about 90 degrees outside. So I will show you when we get back under the shade here what we have after we get these pyrolyzed and get them cleaned up. So, like I said, we've got on the junk table out there, we have our ram fingers and our Wi-Fi card fingers and fingerboard fingers and all that stuff. I've already got his other stuff all separated out and labeled to return, and with an explanation. And again, it's not that that stuff is not worth keeping or not worth salvaging. It's not worth it for the split. In other words, when I have to split it, it's not even worth it for you not to get it all. But you can do the same process with that you can do with your pins, which means you can actually go ahead and make up a little bit of AP. You can throw them in there, leave them in there for however long it takes. You know, your bits and pieces and your other boards and things like that, and filter it off, and you can send me those filters and I will be happy to refine that for you. I just don't have the room or the time anymore to do it all. So once again, I'm going to get this stuff ready. When we get it pyrolyzed and get it back in here, we'll show you what's going on. So we'll be back at you guys in a little while. Okay guys, please excuse the fan noise, but I actually have it on blowing some other stuff away, some acid fumes. I'm actually just using my little mortar here to grind up these chips, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually keep this stuff and I am going to burn it off again just to be sure that we got everything loose. So I just wanted to touch base with you right quick, show you what I was doing. There is our powder so far. It's a small batch, so I mean I can just sit here and and do this, and it's no big deal. This little booger actually comes in pretty handy for small batches. A bigger batch, I would probably just crush it in a a pot or a pan with a hammer or something like that. But this works really good for small batches and grinds it up real good. So I'm going to get back at it, and when we get to another step, I will bring you back in. Hey guys, I just wanted to step out here and show you the fingers, the little tub that the fingers are in. They're sitting out here in the sun, and they are really going fast. This is another reason that I like doing the same type of material together. Now you remember we had that other batch that sat forever that had a lot of the LCD looking fingers in it that aren't really fingers, and it seemed just because there was so much more copper from that, it took a lot longer for the acid to work. Now here, this is only on day 2, and I mean, and we are really getting a good foil separation already. So I just wanted to show you that. I know everything can be processed together. I know a lot of people process everything together, but it just seems to me if you want things to go faster and easier, it's better to do like material with like material. Just like I said when we ended up with those pins. Had I had mixed that all together, those crappy lacquer coated, whatever they were, pins would have been mixed throughout the batch. So we would have had them in every single pot. That would have been hindering us from dissolving all the metal so that we could do an easy filter on our fluids. So that's why I just wanted to show you right quick, you know, how fast this is going, because it's the same stuff. You know, it's not necessary to do it, but here, we're just going to tip it up. Look at how much is off of those already. And we're only a day and a half, 2 days in. So, anyhow, that's why I like doing things that way. You do whatever you want. Like I said in many videos, there's no right or wrong way to do this. There's your way. Now, making mistakes or doing something stupid, that's a different story. But if you like doing it this way, do it this way. If you like mixing everything together, mix everything together. There's no set rules for things like that. The only set rules are basic safety. Alrighty guys, I'm going to get back inside and do some more stuff. I've got a little more ash to crush and get filtered. And then we will probably start processing that out and getting it cleaned up. So we'll be back at you in a bit. Alright guys, we are back to the chips. This was our second burn. As you can see, a lot more of that. We got a lot more of that chip material burned off. So I'm going to go ahead and use my little mortar, and I'm going to go ahead and crush the rest of this up again, and that will be our final burn on these. Right now we've got about yay much powder. This is already ready to be it's ready to start rinsing. So I'm going to go ahead and get this done, get it in with that, and then we're going to just start rinsing. You actually saw me do that in a in a previous video. So when we get down to the concentrates, I'll bring you back in and show you. And this time I'm going to do something a little different. Instead of using hydrochloric acid, because I think these are mostly going to have copper contaminants in it, I'm just going to do it quickly so I don't have to take a long time, and I'm just going to use a little dilute nitric acid to get rid of the base metals. And then we are going to go after our gold. So I'm going to go ahead and get to finish crushing this stuff up, and we'll be back at you guys in a few. Okay guys, we finished up our stuff. There is our ash, our sieved ash. So it looks like there's about 400 milliliters of ash in there. It hasn't been cleaned yet. I've swept our bowls and beakers out that we used, but I'm still going to spray them with water. This is what did not get crushed up out of it. What I'm going to do is run inside real quick, put it under the scope. If I see more than 3 or 4 wires in there, bond wires, I will heat it up and crush it again. I don't expect to find any because it's just mostly, you know, the silicon dyes. So anyhow, I'm going to go check that out. Like I said, if there's 1 or 2 in here, you can't help that. If there's none in here, great. If there's more than 3 or 4, I will actually crush it again, or heat it up and crush it again, because I want to get, this is not mine, so I want to make sure I get all of the gold out of it. I'm going to do that right quick. Then we're going to rinse this, which you have seen me do, so when we get back to the concentrated ash, I'll cut back in and show you our next process. So I'll be back at you in just a bit. Okay guys, I just wanted to bring you in on this. What I'm actually doing right now is I am boiling this off in dilute nitric acid. You can start to see, I don't know if you can see in there, but a little blue tint in the solution. And what we're doing is we are dissolving off the base metals, because just the straight nitric won't touch the gold. So when I quit seeing NOx gas form in there, I will add a little bit more nitric. If we get a reaction, I will let it continue. If we get no reaction, then I know that our base metals have been dissolved, and it'll be time to rinse this off. And I'll do a couple rinses. I'm not overly concerned with it because I'm actually going to make aqua regia anyway. So then we'll add some HCl and some more nitric, and we'll dissolve that gold, and we'll see what kind of gold was in this. So I'm going to let it continue to clean up, and we'll get back at you guys in a bit. Okay guys, our reaction has stopped. So as you can see, the nitric is a lot faster, a lot cleaner, but it's also a lot more expensive. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get this rinsed, and then we will do aqua regia and get our gold. Alrighty guys, we are now dissolving our gold. We got as much of the junk out of there as we could. That was our pour off after our rinse from the nitric, so you can see it's pretty blue, so we should have got rid of a lot of the base metal. What we're going to do is we're just going to let this go till I don't see any little fine bubbles anymore. Big bubbles are just, you know, from heat, from temperature, but when these little fine bubbles stop, when we add nitric and we don't get that, then we know our gold has been all dissolved. So I'm going to let that continue to do its thing. I'll probably just for safety's sakes leave it set for the rest of the night, even after we shut it down, just to make sure that everything is dissolved, and then I will filter that off in the morning and drop it. So we will see what we get then. Okay guys, well, it's morning, but not the next morning. It's actually a couple days later, and I am actually starting to filter this stuff off. As you can see in the bottom, some of the ash has made it through or made it by, so we're going to probably have to filter this a couple of times. Right now I'm just letting it drip filter until I get the rest of this in there. When I get that in there, we'll rinse it and turn the vacuum on. And then, like I said, we're probably going to have to, you know, actually do this a couple of times and rinse it quite a bit. We may even have to reduce it back down a little bit because we're going to be using a lot of distilled water. Real quick, we'll go out here to the junk table, take a peek at our foils, which look like are about almost done. I'm going to leave them set out here in the sun for the rest of the day. Hopefully we won't get any rain today. We've been getting rain, so I've been having to leave them covered up. But a good, I would say, half to 2/3 have been released. Some of the, you know, the older, bigger stuff is still attached, but we're going to let that go for the rest of the day, and then we will get back out here and check that out. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and let this filter off. Then we will, if we have to reduce it some, we'll reduce it down a little bit, and we will drop our gold out of it. So we'll be back at you guys in a bit. Okay everybody, we are doing our second filtration now, and as you can see, this was the first one. It's pretty cloudy, but now it's dropping out pretty clean, and I don't see any ash in the bottom. So as long as that stays clear like that, we will be able to, we're probably going to have to, like I said, reduce this down a little bit because we've used a lot of water because of the ash. But I'm going to just continue to keep doing this, passing it back through, see if we can clear it up. And as long as it comes out nice and clear like it's doing right now, we may only have to do this once. So I'm going to go ahead and continue letting it do this, get it cleaned up. Probably going to reduce it by, I don't know, 1/3 at least before we do the drop. So I'll get back at y'all when we are ready to drop this material. I'm not going to put you through all this filtering. I mean, you've seen it done before, you've seen me do it before, so we'll be back at y'all in a bit. Okay guys, we have actually finished rinsing our ash. I'm going to bring this down to about 400 milliliters because we used a lot, I mean a lot of extra. Whenever you're doing anything with ash, it takes a lot of rinse water. So I'm going to actually reduce this down, you know, a couple hundred milliliters at least, just by vaporizing the water off. I want to show you the ash. And this is the main thing you want to see. When you take that filter out, you don't want to see any yellow. And as you can see, our ash is clean. Our filter has no yellow in it, which means we drew all our gold solution out. So that's the main thing you want to do with ash, is just make sure that, you know, if this would have came out yellow or had any yellow spots on it, we would have needed to rinse this ash some more. But I did it several times just to make sure, you know, and then I could see that my, you know, my water was actually running clear instead of having yellow tint. We do still have some cloudiness. I'm not going to worry about that right now because it just could be from the pH from adding so much water. I'm going to let it reduce down. We're going to hit it with a touch of sulfuric acid when it cools down a bit, and then we will filter it again until we get a nice, crisp, clear solution. So I just wanted to show you where we're at. I wanted to show you that the ash has been cleaned and filtered. I'm actually going to go get my scope and take a look at this and make sure I don't see any bond wires in it, because this is, you know, it should be, there shouldn't be any. So, but I'm going to go get my scope right now and take a look at that anyway. So when this gets reduced down and we get ready to drop this stuff, drop the gold, we'll get back at you. Okay guys, we got this reduced down to about, I don't know, I guess close to 350 milliliters. I don't know how well you can see that, but we ended up with quite a bit of chloride of some type in the bottom of there. I don't know if it's tin. I doubt it's tin. I'm thinking it's going to be silver chloride. But anyway, as we reduce that out, you know, from all that extra water, evidently the water pushed that out. I don't think it's lead, but I'm not sure. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and let this cool. Then we're going to filter it off again and get all that out of there, and tinker around with that stuff later on and see what it is. But anyway, we did get it out of there. It is settling out right now as it's cooling off. So when that cools off, we'll filter it off and drop our gold. So we will be back at you in a bit. Okay guys, we got everything all filtered off. I'm not exactly sure what that powder was in the bottom yet, but it's in the filter over there. I'm going to check it tomorrow, see if it was silver or something. It did leave a kind of an awful, I've never had this before. I actually have some aqua regia in there right now heating up, but it left an awful stain in my beaker, and it doesn't seem to want to come out. So I'm going to let that aqua regia set in there, and I'm going to do me some reading, because I've never had a batch do that before. Always something, right? Okay, so I've got an excess of sodium metabisulfite here. I'm going to go ahead and put it in, see what kind of a reaction we get. We're getting a color change. I'm going to just keep stirring it. And I'm just going to let it set, and we will see what happens. We did get a color change. I'm not seeing much of a drop yet, but it may take a second, so we'll just let it go. And I think it's starting now. It's a little bit slow. I would have thought we would have had more gold in there than that. Kind of a slow drop. Well, it's going slowly but surely, but that's kind of indicating to me that we don't have a whole lot of gold in there. And I don't know why. Maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe it's just taking its time. I do see some gold starting to fluff up at the top. It might just be taking its sweet time to fall out of there. There it goes. I always get a little bit concerned when I don't see that change right away. We are definitely getting a drop now. I'm hoping it's going to be decent, because like I said, it just, as long as it took, I expected it to change faster than that. I expected there to be a little bit more gold in there. Because we actually had, this time we had more of the caps that didn't have the copper on them, so our weight should be a little bit better than our last batch. And like I said, I don't know what's going on with my beaker. I have not ever had a beaker do that before, especially with Aqua Regia in it. So I'm just going to have to let that sit and see what comes out of that. Let this gold sit and see what we get out of that. And then hopefully by tomorrow our foils will be done and they'll be ready to process. So I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and call this video at this point. We'll see what the drop looks like at the beginning of the next video, because we're going to still have to melt this, filter and melt this, and we're still going to have to process our foils, put them in Aqua Regia, and go from there. So guys, in part 3 we'll see how much gold we got out of these BGA chips, and hopefully we'll see how much gold we get out of those foils, and that should wrap up this refine. So we will see you guys in the next video.
I hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time.